What if your biggest mistake went viral and it never stopped trending? No apology could erase it. No explanation could soften it. No amount of time could bury it. Imagine a world where your worst decision becomes your permanent identity. In 1850, Nathaniel Hawthorne imagined exactly that. In the Scarlet Letter, a young woman named Hester Prynne is forced to stand before her entire community with a single red letter stitched onto her chest. A. It stands for adultery. But it quickly becomes something much larger. The novel is set in 17th century Puritan New England, a society obsessed with morality, reputation, and public punishment. Hester's crime is exposed. The father of her child remains hidden. And from that imbalance, a quiet psychological tragedy begins. This is not just a story about sin. It is a story about public shame, private guilt, and the cost of living under constant judgment. The novel opens at a prison door in Boston. Hester Prynne emerges carrying her infant daughter, Pearl. On her chest is the Scarlet Letter embroidered in elaborate red thread. The townspeople gather to watch. Some whisper. Some condemn. Some argue that death would have been a more fitting punishment. Hester is ordered to stand on the scaffold for hours and endure public humiliation. She is commanded to name the father. She refuses. She accepts the punishment. But she protects the identity of the man involved. From the beginning, Hawthorne establishes a contrast between public justice and private mercy. Hester is exposed. Someone else remains hidden. That hidden man is Reverend Arthur Dimmesdale. He is young, eloquent, and deeply admired. He preaches about morality and repentance. The townspeople trust him completely. He is also Pearl's father. Unlike Hester, Dimmesdale does not confess. He allows her to bear the punishment alone. Outwardly, he grows more respected. Inwardly, he collapses. He grows pale and frail. He presses his hand against his chest as if concealing a wound. He delivers sermons about sin that feel painfully personal. Hester's guilt is visible. Dimmesdale's guilt is invisible. And it is the invisible guilt that slowly destroys him. Secrecy becomes more corrosive than shame. Hester's long-missing husband eventually arrives in Boston. He calls himself Roger Chillingworth. He quickly discovers that Dimmesdale is Pearl's father. But instead of exposing him, he chooses something darker. He becomes Dimmesdale's physician. Under the guise of concern, he studies him, questions him, manipulates him. Chillingworth feeds on Dimmesdale's suffering. The more the minister weakens, the more Chillingworth seems energized. Hawthorne describes him as growing twisted in both appearance and spirit. In seeking revenge, he loses his humanity. The novel quietly asks whether vengeance is a greater corruption than the original sin. Pearl grows into a fierce and unpredictable child. She is imaginative, defiant, emotionally intense. The townspeople view her as a living symbol of her mother's sin. But Pearl is more than punishment. She constantly asks about the Scarlet Letter. She is drawn to Dimmesdale in ways she does not fully understand. She instinctively senses the truth. Pearl represents living consequence, living truth. She refuses to let secrets remain comfortable. For Hester, Pearl is both burden and blessing. She is the reminder of a mistake. She is also proof that something meaningful can emerge from it. Years pass. Hester does not attempt to escape her reputation. Instead, she reshapes it. She becomes known for her charity and strength. She helps the poor. She nurses the sick. She lives with quiet dignity on the edge of society. Gradually, the meaning of the Scarlet Letter begins to shift. Some townspeople say it stands for Abel. Others suggest it might stand for angel. The symbol has not changed, but the interpretation has. Identity is not fixed by one failure. It can evolve through resilience. Hester does not remove the letter. She transforms its meaning. Dimmesdale's internal torment intensifies. After years of hidden suffering, he climbs the scaffold during a public gathering. This time he does not hide. He confesses. He admits that he is Pearl's father. He admits that he has lived in hypocrisy. In that moment, the truth breaks the cycle of secrecy. Pearl kisses him. The emotional barrier between them dissolves. But the confession comes too late to save him physically. Dimmesdale collapses and dies shortly afterward. Truth brings freedom, even when it arrives at great cost. Without Dimmesdale to torment, Chillingworth loses his purpose. He withers and dies, having consumed himself with revenge. Pearl inherits his fortune and leaves to build a life elsewhere. Hester eventually leaves Boston. Later, she returns by choice. She resumes wearing the Scarlet Letter. This time, it is not imposed upon her. It is chosen. Women seek her counsel. She becomes a quiet symbol of endurance and empathy. The letter that once marked her as an outcast becomes a symbol of lived experience. On its surface, the Scarlet Letter is a story about adultery in a Puritan colony. Beneath that surface, it is a meditation on guilt, hypocrisy, revenge, and redemption. What destroys a person faster? Public shame or secret guilt? Hester survives because she confronts her reality. Dimmesdale collapses because he hides from his. Chillingworth is consumed because he cannot forgive. Hawthorne's message feels intensely modern. We cannot always control what marks us, but we can decide what those marks mean. The Scarlet Letter never disappears, but its meaning changes, and that change makes all the difference.